Hey guys, welcome back. So today I'm going to go over repairing a mistake painting on surfaces or airbrushing on some surfaces. I recently painted a rendition of a Wonder Woman and I kind of wasn't happy with the face, and I'll go ahead and I will put a picture of the face when I finished it after clear coat and noticed it was too dark and really didn't look like the subject matter. So I'm going to show you my process of what I'm going to do to go and repair this, and maybe walk you through some steps on my masking procedure, and then we'll just walk through and see if we can make her look better. So like I said, I'll post the picture of what it looked like, and then I'm going to flip you around, and then we're going to show you actually doing the repair. All right, so stay tuned. Okay, so here she is. You can notice she's like really dark, and I really didn't get good in her eyes. So to me, she looks a little bit like she might be Indian. So we're gonna go in and we're gonna fix that. And I'm gonna show you how I do it. Sorry if my breathing's a little loud. I've got the camera like right in my face so I can watch and I can show you to make sure that we're in camera focus. So here we go. So I'm just going to take normal 3M packing tape because it's thin, and I've already got this clear coated and wet sanded it down. So we'll go ahead and I'll take some pieces off of this and we will cut some pieces of tape. I did have my scissors here, but then I moved them so that I have a cleaner, messier area. So I'm going to just lay this masking tape or this packing tape over her face because I'm going to use this for masking, and I'm going to show you that. Just remember, when you tear off pieces, to remember where you ended so that you can find it again and start it over again. All right, so there we go. Here we go. So my overlap's going to be slightly, I don't want too much of an overlap, but I want a little bit of overlap just so we don't have spray through, blow through. Okay. So I really just needed to do it like this. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to mask the rest of it off with just regular tape. Sorry about that. Because I don't really need to see what I'm doing on the rest of it. But I also just don't want overspray on the rest of the cup below her. So then we'll go ahead and we'll cut around her face, and then we'll peel it back, and then we'll go from there. Also, I like to, especially on painting cups, I'll mask these rims because it just keeps you down overspray, keeps the edges clean, a little less work that you have to do. And there it goes. So I will cut out her face, and then we will go from there. Okay, so I'm just going to take an X-Acto, and we're just going to lightly press just to cut through the tape. We don't want to cut into the paint or the clear coat. We don't want any problems with it lifting later. So I'm just going to cut across around her face where I know that I'm going in to fix. And there's some areas on her that I'm going to try to not really, hopefully, mess up too much. Like her eyebrows are actually pretty spot on. Her nose is pretty close. It's just like if you look at her cheeks here, I mean, I'm really dark, and then her eyes, and her lips may actually be at the wrong angle. I need to bring them up a little bit, but my goal here really is, I think I'm going to try to make her look more like the end user, the client that ordered her, which she actually looks pretty good right now, except for the darkness. So if I go in there and lighten her up, and then we'll go. So I'm going to peel this off. I'm going to set it up, and then we will get ready to go to the actual repairing, the airbrushing of it. So be right back. All right, so we'll start out real quick on her eyes, because they really bother me. Because I got them like really dark, almost like she's jaundiced or something. So I'm just going to go in here and hit the whites of the eyes real quick and try to just brighten them up slightly. Hopefully you can see. So we'll come back in again and we'll darken these. But I just kind of wanted to get them, so you'll see the whites of the eyes getting a little bit brighter. And then we can come back and adjust them later. But her eyes were really yellow. So when I'm gonna mix up some lighter skin tones, and we're gonna come in and we're gonna knock all this brightness, or excuse me, we're gonna knock all this dark out, and kind of shape her face maybe a little bit more. And then we'll start adding the depth back in. So let me mix my paint up and then we'll be back. Okay, so I mixed up a light tone skin color. And what I did was I have some already pre-mixed skin tone from Tamco. It's kind of a medium tone, like a flesh tone. So what I'll do is I'll take some white. We'll kind of knock that down, make it a little lighter. And then I will take some lemonade candy, and I'll put it in there and knock some of the redness down. So it'll give it a nicer skin tone. And so you'll see when I go in here, because it's going to be lighter, so it is going to make a difference. So I'm going to go in, I'm going to hit some areas where it's lighter, just kind of like go in here, and I'm going to work some of this area. Ooh, that's what you don't want to happen. I don't know what happened there. Dirty airbrush, I guess. So we'll put in a little bit light there. We'll come in, it's just got a little bit of a highlighter kind of in here. I know it looks like it's going to be an extreme difference, right? But we'll kind of come back in here and we'll, with the next tone, and we'll kind of move this and we'll bring back some of the depth. Because I went too dark on the first one, she's really dark, and I didn't really want that. So we'll go in and we'll blend it in some. Although in the reference, she is pretty dark in the skin, but it's a different tone than what I've actually got. highlights on her where the skin did. She was just kind of a little bit lighter tone. Right now it's okay if we knock out some of this darkness, like her eyebrows and her shading. We'll come back in and hit it. This really kind of like fun thing here is we can do things. We can kind of do things to make it look more layers. Come back, we can push it, come back. Push it, come back, push it, come back. So now what I'll do is I'm going to swap out and put a little bit, I'll put that other tone in there. I've already got mixed up. This one's going to be, so. Now this is going to be the other skin tone that I had. And we'll just kind of go in and it's going to be a little bit more color to it, like that red tone to it. Let's see. All right. We'll go back in now. This is just such a small area that it does not take much to come in and cover. So let me mix up my black. Make sure that it's the consistency that I want this at, because we're going to go in, kind of reduce the black so that we don't want super coverage. Let's go faint on the coverage. But we do need to kind of eyebrows back in. And because I got this reduced, it's going to take a few layers to get her in. You can see kind of getting her eyebrows back in there. We'll have to go in here and do some more shading, but she's like really kind of dark in here as far as the shadowing goes around her eyes. Bring some of that back in. Her and in her picture, she is kind of a little bit got a scowl going. So you kind of see her eyes coming back in. And then we'll come back over here. So what I'll do is I'm probably going to mix up maybe like a little bit of a darker tone on the skin to bring that skin back in. And she does have some shadows that come in on that nose. But let me mix up a little bit of a darker skin tone, and then we'll come back and we'll start blending some of that back in. Okay, so I took my medium tone and mix this a little bit darker. Which I'm probably gonna have to go a little bit darker, because you know colors, once you put them down, that's when you really get to see the true color of them. Especially when you're going over something darker. You're going over a darker color with a lighter color, it makes that color even look lighter. So I am gonna have to come in and do just a little bit darker on this. So what I'll do is, what I'm doing is basically I took a mix. I made a brown candy. So basically took equal parts of green and orange. So I took equal parts of, my Hustlin' Green, Tamco candies, and Tangerine Orange, right? To make me a nicer, kind of darker skin tone. So if you're used to candies, or not used to candies, if you're used to just mixing regular colors, candies are actually really nice to bring like richness in your colors out. I don't know if you can tell, but this color actually is kind of a nice peachy blush, almost like a blush, like a deep blush skin tone. The darker I get in here with the candies, as the skin tone layers, the better it's gonna look. So I know she probably looks really weird right now, and that's okay. We're just blending colors right now, so I'm gonna probably go in here now. I'm gonna get her like even darker. Just dump all that in. It's almost kind of like it's kind of like a rich caramel color. Which should look pretty nice. Then what I'll do is we'll mix up another batch of this one candy. We'll mix up the brown, and I'm going to go in. Then once I'll go in and I'm going to start darkening it up a little bit and blending and fading. And then we should start seeing her come to life. Okay, so I have a nice, decent, it's more on the orange side of brown. So we'll go in here, we'll start working it in, bring in some you might be able to see some of the shading going in here on her, around her nose. So again, on this one, what I ended up doing is taking, again, the hustling green and the tangerine orange and mixing them together to get my brown tone. Which is, it's a decent tone. I will have to go darker on this one. Because if you look at the reference photo that I'm using, she's really kind of dark. So she's really, I said she's really dark on the photo. Like I might have had her too dark, but when you look at the photo, she is really dark. My proportions may have been no. It may have been more my proportions were off than the darkness that she was that looked off. And see, on the screen, actually is looking a little bit more red than I think she really is. And we'll probably have to come back in here and redo these lips. Just kind of blending it in. I've kind of got a little bit of I guess kind of my what am I trying to think? My blending clear, my inner coat clear. Might have a little bit too, may not have it reduced enough, so it's kind of giving me fits here. So you hear it spit every few seconds or clog up on a needle. So that I got, look how dark that I got right there. If you hear it get ready to spit, you kind of hear it, it'll whistle a little bit. So you're just going to go clean off the needle real quick. Because if you don't, you'll get a glob on there. You don't want that glob on there. Let's see. Come up here a little bit. So you see, we get it. It takes a little bit sometimes with faces to really get them built in and until they start showing you what you want to show them. But you can see she's coming around. She's coming around. We got a little dark here, so it'll get better as we add more color. And my airbrush is kind of messing with me a little bit, but as you blend stuff in, it'll kind of fade some of that away. But you see the face, it's already lightened up a lot. So it is looking like a lot better. It is kind of good to sometimes to clear your airbrush. You got to spray it away a little bit. She's really dark on this side. So once and then again too, once we go in here and we'll fix these eyes up a little bit more, and then it'll look fine. And then we can go in and see if we want to address these lips anymore. I might come back in with a little bit more red. She almost kind of goes up, almost a little more there. I really kind of think I had the shape of her face off a little bit. She's got more of a rounded kind of face. So we'll see here. We'll get a little bit darker it's a little bit darker in her cheeks, because like I said, in the reference photo, she really is a little bit more darker. So well, the good thing is, like, you can layer candies and they get a little bit darker. But there you go. Getting there. I know it's not going to look quite like this over here, but you start getting her face in there. She'll start looking a little bit better and closer to that image, which is our ultimate goal. Whenever airbrushing, no matter what we're airbrushing, try to get it as close to the subject matter as we can. But you'll notice that if I pull her out, let's do this real quick. If you look, I mean, you see how she's a lot darker in here. And then when you look at her, she's not quite as dark, but that's an easy adjustment. We can come back in with some little bit darker candies and put it on there, and it'll be good. All right. So I was looking at this and I noticed when I was with my reference photo, her bridge of her nose is too narrow. Actually, the shape of her nose is pretty much off. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to see if I can kind of widen her nose a little bit at the bridge. And then we'll go back into working on the face dimensions and shading. So kind of comes down. Okay. Go ahead and get a little bit darker on here. Not too much darker. You may also notice that I have a new cap on the airbrush. Get that to look right. Got some little mini skull caps from Coast Airbrush. Come in two colors as of right now. They got a black and a gray. So these are pretty cool. Saw them, picked them up, and then just added them to the collection. All right. Let's see here. Let's go back in. It's probably a little bit too dark. Let's see. We'll get this. Yeah, we'll blend this nose in now. Go back over my candy mix. And then coming back in here, she's like really dark in here. If y'all can see, because then her nose is kind of so let me go ahead and clean this out because I've got too much paint actually in here. Right, sorry about that little break. I had to check my paint. I had too much paint in there, so it was not making my candies right. So let's go in here, this in here. And then come back in on her nostrils. And I'm not getting the viscosity that I want to spray out. It's not spraying quite the way I want it to. I'm going to add just a slight bit more reducer. All right. A bit more reducer, and then we'll come back in and get her nose worked in. And we'll change kind of like the structure of her. Change the structure of her nose, kind of that simple. So change the shape just by coming up with this shadow, kind of change the shape. Looks a little bit more like her actual nose now. So come back in, change the lighting a little bit. That, and let's see. I think actually what we can do now is we'll go in and do the darker. We'll get the darker in there, and then we will go in and finish her out. Let's see on her eyeballs, because they're just kind of a little bit. And then let's see, we'll come back over here. Just want to get them a little more rounded, because when we came in with the white, we kind of changed the shape of her eyes a little bit. You'll see. So now I'll come in with the black or the darker, and then we'll go in. Boom. We're going to start darkening her up in the areas that she needs to be darkened up in. And then we will pull the tape and see how we look. All right. Give me 1 second. All right. Got the black added in. We'll come in here. Get started on her eyebrows. Yeah. Let's see, her eyebrows working in there. Okay, good. Now we'll get cut here. A little blending, shading. here, get this. Let's do a little bit darker right here. All right. Right, let's see. What do you think? She's looking pretty good. Don't want to go too much darker. She's going to look Indian again. So let's see. Pupils in there. Looking pretty good. All right, so I think what we're going to do now is might mix up. It's a little lighter on this lip part. So I'll mix up a color for that. Come back. Kind of lighten her lips a little bit. She actually looks like that has to come up maybe slightly right here. And then we will go pull that up just a little bit. Come in, okay. I think we're good. We're good on that. Okay, now I'll mix up the color on her lips, bring it in just a little bit, and then we'll go from there. All right, so I took a previous mixed up skin tone color that I had in my cut and mixed up previously, added a few drops of Tamco's OG Red Candy to get a lip color. So I'm just gonna hit her. Just kind of gonna hit her right here, and then we'll come in. I'm gonna add a few more drops. Make it a little deeper. Kind of blend that in. Okay, so I kind of reworked her lips a little bit, and I apologize because I actually thought I had record going, and apparently I still had it on pause. Lay some of this in here just a little bit. And let's see, we should be able to go ahead and we'll pop off this tape. And then we'll check and see how it looks. Okay, so tape's off, so you can see pretty good. I'll go in, we'll blend this in a little bit, tighten up this edge here, kind of blend this in here, and then I'll clear it and then show you the finished product. All right, stand by.